Since time immemorial, God has always communicated himself and his will through various voices, the prophets, the kings, the judges, not forgetting John the Baptist, who was a precursor to Jesus Christ and gave us the will of God. We bring to you Voices from the Valley. This is a program designed by the Conventual Franciscan Friars in Ghana in collaboration with Cafdil TV to bring you in-depth insight in our faith, catechesis, and various Catholic teachings which will help you in your journey as a pilgrim. I know you cannot miss this program, and I highly encourage you that you shouldn't miss this program because it is Voices of God from the Valley of Prayer and Silence. Join us this and every Sunday at 3 p.m. and a repeat on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. here on Cafdil TV and on our various social media platforms, YouTube, Cafdil EDU, and Facebook, Cafdil Cape Coast. Let us meet and share what God has for us through the Voices from the Valley.
Lord, make me a means of your peace.
Hello, wonderful people. Welcome to Cafdil Healthcare here on Cafdil Television. My name is Kojo Arthur, and I hope you are doing well, just as I am. I'm very fit as fiddle. That is why it's very imperative that every week we come your way to talk about our health. And I am sure you've heard a disease called TB or tuberculosis. But even if you have heard, how well do you know that TB? This and many more is what we're going to discuss today here on Cafdil Television. I'm hoping that you will follow us on Facebook, that is Cafdil Cape Coast, and on YouTube, Cafdil EDU. Don't just follow us, like it, share for your friends to also follow us. In fact, we want 1 million views for all of us to also contribute to this show, because your health and my health very important. Today, I am here with Abu Kobna. Abu Kobna is a Senior Disease Control Officer at Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, also known as CCTH. Abu, you are welcome, as usual.
Thank you, my brother.
Good to have you today as well. Then Francis Afuna is also a public health nurse at Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. Francis, good to have you today.
Thank you, my brother.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good. All right. We're talking about tuberculosis. This tuberculosis is one of the six killer diseases. You and I, when we were in basic schools, we learned them, 6 killer diseases. And it is very dangerous because it is airborne disease. Any disease that is airborne is always dangerous, very dangerous. So let's get into the business straight. Let me start from you, Kwabena. Give us the overview of tuberculosis, what TB is, and how does it affect the body?
All right, thank you. Let me use this opportunity to say hi to our viewers and also welcome them to this program. We are here because of them, and we encourage them to listen and bring their comments, and then we all go ahead with it. When you talk about TB, just like any other disease, is caused by microorganisms. In other words, we call them disease-causing agents. It is not limited to only disease-causing agents. There are also other forms of the TB that are caused by dust, debris, and then some form of particles from workplaces, like those who do quarry, those who do mining, those who have sawmills and they are operating with wood and they have that kind of dust. In fact, all those aspects can contribute to TB causation. And if I want to talk about the state of TB as it stands today, across the globe, then it will interest you to know that within a year, WHO for 2023 has reported that within a year, we have about 10 million people going down with TB disease. What it means is that we have this 10 million people being infected with the TB disease. Then we also have close to 1.5 million who may die out of this 1 million people. And the disease as it stands is dominated in 2 continents that as it stands now, WHO has reported to us. This is Africa continent, and then we also have large proportion of the TB cases coming from Asia continent as well. This data I'm giving is 2023 data that WHO has reported.
So that's the latest?
That is the latest. So what we do is that we are able to segregate the data and report on it appropriately at the end of every year, you understand, or by quarter basis. But for 2023, that is what we are talking about right now. And TB as it stands now is the leading killer. Okay, we have a lot of diseases in the health system that are causing a lot of mortalities and morbidities, but TB as it stands now is the leading killer, and that is for 2023. For 2024, we are yet to establish on other factors and then come with another information. 2022, this TB we are talking about was the second killer because of the presence of COVID-19 and other issues. So COVID-19 dominated almost every situation as far as our health issues are concerned. And so TB was relegated to second. But for 2023, as it stands now, TB is still the leading killer. So it means that it is very, very real. It's with us in our societies, it's with us in our communities, our households. So what we are begging or entreating our viewers to do is that they should pay attention to this conversation. Anything that is not part of them before they went to bed, and then the next morning they happen to see something unusual, they should report to a nearby health center or facility and complain appropriately. Then we will take it up from there. So when I come down to where I work in CCTH right now, we have TB cases with us. I didn't want to speak about the whole central region because the TB cases as I speak now, we have a section of it that is called multi-drug resistance, or the resistant type of TB. It is CCTH that is coordinating all central region cases that are MDR. And so because of that, I'm privy to the totality of cases that are reported as TB cases that are resistant. But for the sensitive TB cases, what we do is that because CCTH is a referral center and we have a lot of the sophisticated machines to diagnose the cases, we diagnose the cases. Then afterwards, we send them back to the district where they are coming from so that they can continue the TB treatment over there. So for the sensitive TB, in our records from the beginning of the year up to now, I only have about 6 of the TB cases, and about 4 of them are pediatric ones. If I say pediatric ones, children under 14. For TB, it is not limited to 5, but under 14 or under 15, they are recorded as pediatric cases. So I have 4 of them there, and then 2 adults. Apart from that, the rest that have been diagnosed, I don't have it offered, but we have close to 60 of them, but they have been distributed
60?
Across, yes, across the region. And in this case, this I'm talking about, they are not new cases alone. Some of them have started, but they have not finished. But those that have been diagnosed newly, when we're coming, I spoke to you of that I'm expecting 4 newly diagnosed MDR. who are supposed to come. So I was rushing to go back there to see what is happening. So the cases are real and they are there. And everybody is at risk because the main mode of transmission is through air, even though there are other forms of transmission.
So I was coming to ask you about the mode of transmission.
Yes.
So I know it's airborne diseases. So apart from air, I think let me come to Francis. So apart from air being the main mode, or give us the transmission. How is it transmitted from one body or from one person to other person?
Okay, so I thank my viewers as well at this time. As we know, the TB that we are talking about is an infection that affects the lungs. So if we talk about the mode of transmission, it means that a way that somebody can transfer the infection to another person.
Okay.
Yes, so as my brother mentioned, that the main mode is an airborne, that's a droplet. Somebody who is having a TB2 can also use a tissue and decide to leave it on the table, and a child or a relative can go and take it and rub it on his nose or something. The person can also get that. So we need to know that it's not only an airborne that the person can have a TB. When somebody to use anything, an infected person use anything and refuse to dispose or put it in the dump and leave it, and somebody who is not infected, an uninfected person, go and takes it and also touch and rub his hand on his nose, the person too can get, either being a door handle or a cup or a spoon or any other thing that an infected person will use. If an uninfected person go and touch it, meaning that the microorganism is on the person's hand. So if by mistake and the person rub it on his nose or on his face, the person can easily get that. So these are the ways that somebody can also be infected.
So it means that when you're staying with someone who is infected with TB, the person must have his or her, if you talk about utensils, it should be separated from what the one
exactly
who is not infected with.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. Is it not part of
the stigma?
Yes, stigmatization. I think we'll come to the stigmat, but let's finish. Are you not stigmatizing the person?
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to highlight that part. You know, it's fine. In every prevention, there are measures. So what I'm trying to say is that if a person is infected and we are aware, there are sections within the case management that we have one of them as counseling. So the counseling is not limited to the one that is sick, but to the close relatives. So you bring them around and then we speak to them. The most important aspect in the treatment regimen is to support the person emotionally, psychologically, and then other things come to play so that the person will get better. So the moment we are trying to distance ourselves so much from the person and make it so clear that I'm losing the people who are around with me, will even bring another development that will even cause the person not to be comfortable. And that is what we don't want. So we'll speak to you and then we will let you know your environment within which you are, and then the close relatives. It's not a matter of you, avoiding everything of him. But what it means is that if it is cup and the person has used, we know that, yes, we can transmit it through that format or any other thing. So you can clean it, you can wash it and use it back. Okay? We are trying to do this not to, in the first place, bring an issue of stigmatization. Then secondly, we don't even say it's because of TB that you should do that. Anything that has been used by anybody and you want to use it too, you need to make sure that you employ the IPC, the infection preventing protocols, not with TB alone, so that you can also use it. Within this, we are able to assure ourselves that we have been able to prevent a transmission of any disease that we are not aware. Yeah, so that is all that I can say about the person using other person things. You understand?
Yes.
Right.
So you also made mention of microorganisms, right?
Yeah.
Causing this kind of. Micro is something that you cannot see with your eye. So it suspends on air. So how long does the organism suspend on air?
for this organism, as it stands now, the bacilli can suspend in the air for more than 72 hours. It
3
keeps,
days?
Yes, it keeps there for even some time, except if there is something like rain and it will wash them back. But they can suspend in this place for a very long time. And because air has a far-reaching effect, it can transfer them to anywhere that the air can reach. Okay. Any disease-causing organism, depending on the weight of the disease-causing organism, will determine how long they can suspend in the air. You understand? So it ranges. So they can be there for a very long time. For the environment, they can be there for a long time. But in air, at a point, if something happens together with their weight, they can drop back to the land. And that's how it is. I also make mention of the fact that it is not only disease-causing agents, excuse me to say, the organisms alone, but those who are working in other factories, let me put it that way, they may be risking themselves, especially if they are not putting on the nose mask, the protective clothing. If they are not using them appropriately, then with time, you have most of them reporting symptoms, signs that point at TB. You do the investigation and it is truly TB that has come, but which is not an organism that is causing it. You understand? Yeah, so the causation is not limited to the disease-causing organism. We can put it proper like biological agents. You understand? But the chemical agent and the dust and the particles are also a contributing factor to TB causation.
How do they contribute? Because I'm still thinking about it. Somebody like somebody who is working at a sawmill, a mason, and those people, how?
I was speaking to you like, you know, God in his own wisdom has created the respiratory tract such that anything called air or anything that moves through your nostrils will have to land in the lungs before.
Okay.
You understand? Yeah. So the debris, the particles or whatsoever I have mentioned, if they are in one way or the other accompany the air you breathed, they will first land in the lungs. Yes. And then in the lungs, there are a lot of windpipes within which the air exchanges. Okay. Literally, we know that the body needs oxygen, so the exchange will occur so that the body will take the oxygen and then the unwanted ones will come out. So the exchange will take place in the tubes. So these particles, these debris and other, even including the disease-causing organisms, there are some mechanisms that will take place. So if the lumen of the bronchi and the alveoli begin to block, then there is this thing in the brain. Now the body will inform the brain that no, we can't exchange the air, we can't breathe well, we can't. And okay, if you can't breathe well, then what can you do? Make sure that you push all those things out. That will stimulate the cough for you to cough. Okay. You understand? So the idea is to clear those tubes to be clear, and then the TB, we are saying that now the lung that you used to have a proper function is no more functioning that way. So we at that stage, for your complaint and your history where you're working, will guide us to investigate into the matter very well. So taking X-rays are all forms of the diagnosis. Taking X-rays, scans, CT scans and other things will help us to know the organ as at that stage. So if the organ is defected, the only thing is to go and then treat it or manage it so that those scars, inflammations, the disease that has caused in the lungs will go and you will be fine.
So this will lead me to my next question. Who is most at risk for contracting tuberculosis? Are there certain what the populations or demographics that are more vulnerable or vulnerable for this disease?
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, like I said earlier, I said almost everybody is at risk. And the reason behind it is that we all breathe in air. And particularly in Africa and in Ghana, our environment is choked with microorganisms, which may include TB bacilli or the Mycobacterium tuberculosis. So whoever breathes an air that is infected with the bacilli in the first place has been infected with TB. Is it clear?
Yes.
Very good. But that aside, there are some individuals or group of people who has a higher risk of developing or of getting the infection. This group are the health workers who are here with you today. And the reason behind that is that people who get sick, different category of people come to the hospital setting and they meet this group of people, health workers. Sometimes this TB we are even talking about, if I'm aware you are an active TB patient, you know, I'll be so cautious about you. I'll know how to handle your issue proper. But here is the case, we don't know who is sitting with us. You get it? So your risk of being infected with any other disease, including the TB, is very high. You get it? And then there are other group of people like the aged, those who are very old, and then the very young ones. Yes, this group of people, we have an idea that for a reason their immune system is not as competent as before. Then anything small, if you inhale the bacilli, then it means that they will be able to go there and cause signs and symptoms, which is the disease stage. So they are also at risk. Then another group of people are those who are having chronic illness and they have been on medication for a very long time. This group of people are also at risk because their immune system, because of their situation, will be compromised a little bit, and that will put them at risk. People like HIV, diabetes, people too. Yes, for HIV, what we even do for them is that every moment any visit they come, we do what we call TB screening for them. Okay, because we know that their immune system is already down, so we have to conduct that screening exercise for them. Then those who are presumed TB means that the questions we ask them and the answer they give us, they are more likely to become TB cases, so we call them presumed TB. So those group of people, one will ask that they should go to the lab for investigation. And everything about the TB is free. The screening is free. The laboratory investigation too is free. And because of the stigma around it, people, you ask them to go there and they may want to run away. So we guide them there. So after our findings, if you are not an active TB yet, but you are still HIV patient, there is a drug that we give to you so that it will help you not to put you at a higher risk of developing the TB disease. You get it?
Yeah.
So these are some of the group of people who are affected, and there are some people too who risk themselves before the risk comes. Okay, they predispose themselves, like those who are heavy alcoholics, those who drink well without feeding, and those who also smoke heavily. Those group of people are also at risk. Okay, because all the drinking and the smoking, they also have a way of denaturing your lungs or bringing your immune system down, and it will expose you very much. So that I think these ones are people who stand at greater risk of, being hit by the disease. Yeah.
But indeed, you and I, we're also at risk, very high risk.
Oh yeah.
Yes, since the disease is airborne, it's very risky for all of us. You are still watching Cafdil TV. The program is Cafdil Health Care. We care about you. That is why every week we come your way to discuss our health together. Don't forget to share this program. It's very educative, you have followers, so share for them to also get access to this educative program. Let me come to Francis. When you talk about this TB, you know, if someone is affected with TB, something must show. We're talking about symptoms. So what are some of the symptoms that will show that this person is suffering from this disease?
Yeah, so the symptoms, the clinical manifestation, that's how we term it, is what the person will show or what the person will say and what you, the health personnel, you will see. One of the critical things that the person with TB normally show or experience is prolonged cough that lasts for more than 2 weeks. Yes, so when the reason why the person coughs is that, you know, the disease normally affects the alveoli of the lungs. Yes, and God in its amazing and awesome sense made this a way that when any foreign organism enters the body has to fight against it. So whilst the antigen antibody activity is ongoing within the lungs, there will be certain kind of mucus within the lungs. So the mucus will stuck within that tract. So the body has to bring that mucus out. That's why the person is able to cough. So one of the critical things that the person with TB will show is a prolonged cough. And another one too is coughing with blood.
So say there, prolonged cough.
Prolonged cough.
How long?
Yeah, that's
should a person
more than 2 weeks. Yes, more than 2 weeks.
2 weeks and more.
Yes, please. 2 weeks and more.
Okay.
And the next one is when the person cough and you see some blood in it. Because of the inflammation that has occurred within that alveoli, there is some kind of erosion within the tissues in the alveoli. So blood will come out when the person puts certain kind of force within it. And because of the inflammation too, there might be a chest pain when the person cough. So these three, prolonged cough, blood within the cough when the person coughs, and chest pain, these are the three most important things that the person will experience. And the other ones too is the person will start sweating when he or she sleeps during the night. And the person might also have an unintentional weight loss. The person might be eating all right, but the person is losing weight all of a sudden. You also have to make sure that the person visits the hospital as soon as possible. And the last one that I'll add to it is, you see that the person will also start complaining of, oh, I don't like eating, I've lost appetites. Everything that you present to the person will start avoiding that. So these are the clinical manifestation or signs that you have to maybe observe it. When you yourself or somebody close to you starts showing it, you might quickly tell the person to visit the hospital. Because
all right, must one show all those symptoms?
No.
So you made mention of you lose appetite, loss of weight, or yes, then coughing, which is very crucial. So I don't cough. I don't feel like also eating. I sweat. My weight also
is going down.
Can you say that I'm a TB patient, or unless I go to hospital?
We cannot determine that, but for the ones that we can fully confirm, the three that I first mentioned, because if you are coughing and there's blood in it, meaning that there's a problem within your lungs, there's a kind of an infection within your lungs. Yes, and when you cough and you feel like there's a chest pains within that region too, meaning that there's a problem within the myocardium. So things like this to give the health professional or the health practitioner an idea of what the person you're going through. But one thing that we also need to know that the earlier you detect the situation, the better the situation. So whilst you see somebody experiencing this kind of things, the best you can do for the person or for yourself is to let the person go. Maybe it might be a different condition that we, the health professional, we are not going to detect. So it's better you let the person come to the health facility.
All right. Prevention, they say, is better than cure. But Abu, how is it diagnosed? And what should someone do if they suspect they might have TB.
Okay. So before I go there, let me try and see if I can highlight something more on what my brother had just spoken. With the TB, we are getting challenges because the public knows that if you have TB, you have to cough, just as you asked.
Yes.
Like, may you have to present all the symptoms? No. You know, TB, those that affects the lungs are those that comes with cough. There are others too, they don't affect the lungs. They can affect your spine, your kidney, every part of the body. So that group of TB that doesn't affect the lungs, the only thing is that maybe there will be pain at the site of the infection. Then apart from that, there could be fever and the other symptoms that my brother has mentioned.
That one, the no cough.
No, the cough will not come. I mean, the mechanism that causes the cough is what I have explained. He has also explained. So if they are not there, the only thing is that where they have invaded, there can be inflammation there, and that's why you will see some pain.
But you know, in this country, the one that we are familiar with is the one that attack the lungs, because that is the coughing.
That is why I'm highlighting that. It is because that thing that is with people, and if you are not coughing, then it's not TB. It is giving us a very big challenge. That's why I was telling you over that I lost a patient, I think a week ago. The thing is not invading the lungs. So it will not draw his attention. It will not prompt in him that now let's investigate TB. And you know, those of us who are on the field and we are working, we think that we expect that our viewers should also have the same, but that is not it. We can only do so by sensitizing them as we have seated here, so that they should know that it is not only cough that can point at TB. There are other forms of signs and symptoms, just as we have mentioned. And we don't encourage you to sit down or wait until you see all the signs and symptoms coming together. We are saying that early detection is important. So as it stands now, we are saying it's a cough of any duration. If you have cough even for 1 day, and we have seen additional sign or symptom, like you are losing weight unknowingly or without any reason, then you should meet the criteria for screening or for investigation for TB. If we investigate at that stage, and then we are able to find that yes, there's a TB bacilli or there's a TB in you, it is better handled at that stage than it developing to complications where it will spread to cover a large surface area of your body, including the sensitive organs. Now if the organ fail, now there's no magic. You have to just die just like that, and that is too bad. How it is being diagnosed, yes, we can use clinical histories like we are talking about here. Okay. For example, some people cannot produce the samples that we need to do the investigations. And so we only ask them their history about what they know about themselves and then their environment. Then if he's mentioning all the signs and symptoms, then it will draw attention to the fact that then what can we do? Yes. Then there's also what we call epidemiological link. We also use that one to help identify or diagnose TB. In this context, what I will explain is that the person is presenting all the signs and symptoms that is drawing attention to the fact that the person is a probable suspected TB. Then the follow-up question is that your environment within which you live, your household or your immediate relatives, has anybody been an active TB for some time now? If the answer is yes, then it means that because you have gotten the exposure, there is a likelihood that that is TB, and that is the epidemiological link. Those who can produce sample and give it to us will collect the sputum sample and go and give it to the machines that are there, and the human resource will operate it and give us the results. It is another way of also diagnosing. You can also do smear, you can do it with those sputums and other things. Now, there is also another one called Montos or tuberculin skin test. It's also another way of diagnosing. So you can, use the antigen beneath the skin, just at the intradermal level, and leave it for 12 hours to maybe 24 hours. Then you go back to measure the diameter, how the reaction has been, and that also will guide you to know if the person is a TB patient or active TB or not. So that aside, what I know for my CCTH here is that we can only work with the sputum. Sometimes we can also use fecal matter for the diagnosis. And then, yes, these are the two major things I know. And there is also another one we perform. We call gastric lavage. Maybe the person is unconscious. You can't ask the person to cough and produce the sound. Yeah. So what we often do is that we pass tube through the nose to the abdomen. Then we'll collect the content that will come from the abdomen. After collecting that, we can use it for the gene expert, and then we are able to see the result. But elsewhere, others also can use blood, they can use urine, all in the diagnosis of TB and all that. So if you ask me about the diagnosis, that is what I would say. And I also say that if someone is, seeing the signs and symptoms, what should a person do? The only approach is that you cannot sit there with your naked eyes to see exactly what is happening to you. The signs and symptoms across most of the diseases, they mimic each other. They are similar. So you can gauge with your eye and determine. It will only guide you that, once this is happening to me. But with the help of the diagnostic method or procedures, we'll be able to know that, yes, this is how the situation has gotten, and this is what, and this is that. In a more serious note, some of them too, like my brother was saying, they have chest pain. So we are able to also do chest ray for them. A lot of things, including the microorganisms, can be in the lungs. But once you study them and you know their characteristics and other things, when you pick the X-ray, especially pick the X-ray and observe, you will see those characteristics in the lungs, which will draw your attention to the fact that this infection is TB, but not pneumonia or any other thing. So all these things are forms of diagnosis we have for TB.
All right. You're still watching Cafdil TV, and we are discussing tuberculosis or TB, of which you are aware. And how, if you don't know how dangerous they are, I am sure today or now you know how dangerous TB is. And so you're going to prevent yourself all the time. Prevention, they say, is better than cure. So let's try as much as possible to prevent ourselves from certain diseases, just like TB and others. What are the treatment options, and how effective are the treatment, the current treatment, and what challenges exist in managing tuberculosis?
Okay. For TB management, they are in broad two folds, especially if you are dealing with the resistant type. The regimen takes longer than if you are treating with those without the resistance. Even those without the resistance, if they are not invading the lungs, but they are invading any other part, such as the skull, the spine, or any bone-related kind, sometimes it travels to 9 months or 1 year before you can say the person has completed or has been cured. You get it? Yes. With a sensitive TB, the normal ones, we know that the pulmonary TB that has affected the lungs, that one, the maximum you can go is 6 months. And what we do for the treatment that makes it effective is that you can't start TB treatment without what is called counseling. People start the TB treatment and along the line they stop. Some of these things depend on how the counseling went or how the person counseled the sick person. Actually, the counseling should not be for the one who is sick alone. Someone that is sick is frustrated, and then focus and attention is that how am I going to get well? But when he starts getting well, he begins to forget most of the things that he had at the counseling. So the protocols are such that if you are active TB, before we start the treatment for you, unless maybe you're unconscious or you're at the ward, that one we can start it with any kind of emergency that we have. But if you are a bit conscious, then you are supposed to go home, or your OPD case who is not an admission, we make sure that you bring a treatment supporter, somebody that you can confide in, somebody you trust, somebody that you revere, you respect a lot, because that person is not going to be in your life for nothing. The person is there to give you emotional support, psychological support, financial support, and then he will make you feel happy in the course of the treatment. Number two, if the treatment supporter is not there, people will begin to start the medication and stop, and that is very risky, even than if you had not started at all. So the treatment supporter will be there, because I say you should get someone who has these three qualities, is that when he speaks to you, because you revere or respect, you will listen to, even wherever you are. If he calls you, you will rush and come back. But if you don't have those things, and you are not feeding the person well, and the person is not having any support, when he take the medication and you think he's getting better, and these medications I'm talking about, well, the moment you take for 1 month, all the signs and symptoms will vanish. And that's why I'm saying at that stage, it's not likely you can transmit again. You get it? Mm-hmm. So at this stage, if they were having a particular lifestyle that has contributed them to get the disease, now that they are getting better, I mean the signs and symptoms are not there again. So they want to visit their old life. They can run away from home and travel to go and do other things there. Then at that time where they have not completed, the organisms are now using that free period to also build the resistance and make sure that next time you take the medication, they won't die, because everybody fears to die, true of us. Yeah. It is not only we human beings. If you go to their society, the bacilli and they also have everything that they think about so that they don't die. So they will develop resistance, and then now the treatment for the first line drugs will not work unless we move you to the second line treatment, and that is where you have to travel very far before you can be treated or complete the treatment. You get it? And what we also do is that after we have intensive phase and continuation phase, in the treatment regimen. So that is what draw our attention to the fact that is it being effective or not. So when you take the intensive phase, it's for 2 months. The drugs that are for intensive phase are 4. So you will take that one for the first 2 months. After the first 2 months, you the same person. Actually, if your infection was the pulmonary type, we will pick the sample again and do the investigation at month 2. We call it month 2 follow-up test. Then we see what is happening to the disease-causing organisms now. Are they dying? What is their number now? Are they resistant? So we'll do those things. And then we see if there is no resistance, then we'll switch you from the continuation phase. It's from the intensive phase then to continuation phase. This time we reduce the drugs to 2, and then we have cleared the hazard. So we just give you the 2 now to continue for 5 months. We'll pick another sample, then we see what is happening to you. Whilst we do this, we also pick your weight, and then we have to evaluate you when you started and when you were not started. So we can compare the situation and see whether you are improving on the medication, or it is still as it stands, or you are just coming back to a worse stage and all those things, so that we can do. So that is what happens to the treatment, and it is very effective, and it is what I will recommend, because when you start and the counseling is fine and you adhere to treatment, you get better. And when you get cured and we are, releasing you or discharging you, there's also another counseling we give you, because we said that for TB, you can get many episodes so long as you continue to stay on this land that is full of microorganisms. So we can also give you counseling, and then you're fine. I think there was a follow-up question there, if you can remember me.
No, I think you've answered it. But one thing I want to know is that, which means treatment option, they cannot do without counseling.
No.
You can't do the treatment without counseling.
You can only do when the person is not unconscious.
Okay.
Or if there is a kind of emergency, you have to. But when you do, and then you give the medication, and the person gets better, and then the person has to go home. That is where the counseling thing is. It's very important because every person has to know why. You have to know yourself in the first place.
Sure.
So because the person was unconscious, he didn't know who he is in this state. But you have to draw the person's attention to the fact that now, this is the situation.
There are so many questions that I would, but our time is drawing nearer.
No problem.
But if the person is treated and he gets well, can the person contract the TB again?
That's what I'm saying. You can get it many episodes so long as you continue to live.
Now, let me come to you. How do you then prevent ourselves from this disease?
That's fine.
Okay, so the prevention is very, very important when it comes to TB situation. The first thing that we need to know about prevention is early detection. When somebody who is having or showing this kind of symptoms is able to go to the hospital very early for the health practitioner to know that this is really wrong with the person, it will be able to stop or cease the spread of the infection. So the first thing that we need to know about prevention is early detection, when you're able to detect the infection very early. The second one that we also need to know is about the vaccine. The vaccine, when we normally give birth to babies, we give them a TB vaccine so that we prevent or we help them to boost the immune system.
That one is compulsory.
It's very compulsory for babies, yes. So that because the babies, their immune system is very weak. So any kind of microorganism that will enter into their body, they can easily become infected. So we give them the vaccine to prevent them from having that TB. And one thing that we also need to know that because somebody who's having a latent TB, the person having the organism within him or her, but he or she is not showing any kind of symptoms.
Is the person asymptomatic?
Asymptomatic, exactly. So this kind of person also needs to make sure that he doesn't go close because he's already having an orgasm within him or her already.
But the person might not even know.
Yeah.
He is asymptomatic, nothing is showing.
Yeah.
So he can choose to go to any place that he wants.
Very good. That's what I'm saying. You shouldn't go to the person that maybe you shouldn't go close to a place or an area that the TB is very, very high over there.
Okay.
Yes, because
that
it's
particular person.
Very,
all right,
good, that particular
I get
person.
it.
And one thing, so I also need to make sure that if you are a TB patient, your things that you use, maybe your towel, as we mentioned earlier, you need to make sure that if you use them, make sure that if this thing that you can dispose it at instant.
All right. Thank you very much. Our time is up, and let me give you just 1 second. What are you telling our viewers?
Okay, so 1 second now. I'll talk about the stigma. Stigma is one thing that is really discouraging people to go to hospital when they have any kind of medical condition, especially when it is HIV, TB, something that will make people maybe separate themselves from them. Okay. So when somebody is having a TB and you know, please kindly encourage them to become better, especially taking their medication because the medication is 6 months.
All right.
Yes. So
it's not even 1 month.
No,
6
it's
months.
6 months. So just encourage them.
Just a minute, a second, and let's
Okay.
go.
So what I would want my viewers to understand is that right from the diagnosis to the treatment, everything about TB is free. So except if when your organ is such that we need to assess it before you put you on treatment. Apart from that, I'm encouraging everyone, don't hesitate, everything is free. And the people, we have them too, they are knowledgeable, they have the passion for the job. You get there and the kind of treatment they give you to yourself, you will know that, oh, it's better you are here. So everybody who is hearing us or seeing us, and our message is that everything about TB is free.
Everything about TB is free. Go to hospital regular, check. Yes. Sometimes you might think it's TB, but because you are asymptomatic. Nothing shows. So try as much as possible to go to hospital regular and have your check. This is where we will draw the curtain. Thank you for coming, and thank you for all our crew. I don't want to mention names other than that. God be with you same time next week. Bye-bye.